Brought to you by Sip for Your Cause.
Hello, and welcome again to another episode of Let's Talk Nonprofits, a platform where we have discussions with experts in the nonprofit sector, nonprofit leaders, and thought leaders so that we can bring out best practices to help nonprofit organizations improve their fundraising, increase their awareness, increase sustainability, and ultimately their impact. So thank you for joining us this episode. And again, remember, you can go back and look at our previous episodes at youtube.com/BizLinksTV. Visit our website at bizlinks.tv. And also you can like us on our Facebook page, again, bizlinks.tv, or minus the dot. Well, we are excited that we have an opportunity to speak with an expert in the area of fundraising. You know, that is one of the primary pain points of most nonprofit organizations. And so, again, we want you to find out some key practices that will benefit you in terms of how you can increase that funding. We do know, we hear all the time, that's the number one pain point that nonprofits express to us when we're here on the show. So we have some great information with you. We have a great guest with us in the person of Dr. Linda McNay. Welcome, Dr. McNay.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
And do you mind if I call you Linda?
Please do.
Yeah, I got that feel from you, so I want to make sure. So those of you who start hearing me call Linda, say, why is he not giving her that respect? So now you see I have permission. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, before we get started, we always like to know who is the person behind all the great work. So, who is Linda McNay?
Well, I am from Kentucky, and I'm very proud of that.
Great.
We've been in Atlanta, though, 30 years.
Yeah.
My husband's an architect, and we have 2 grown sons.
All right. Well, let me tell you, you know, it's always interesting to just find out who are we really talking to. You're going to find out some great information about Our Fundraising Search, which is the name of her company, and we're going to allow you to just engage with her. Be sure that when you see this episode to make comments, and be sure we will get to Dr. McNay any of your questions that you might have, and let you get in touch with her so that she might engage you in helping increasing the funding components of your nonprofit organization. So, I'd like to start off by just telling us a little bit about Our Funding Search.
Our Fundraising Search?
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure. We help nonprofits raise money so they can meet their own goals. And it usually starts by us helping them find qualified development officers.
Okay. Now, that is different. You know, a lot of times, you know, when we talk to people in the fundraising sector, it's about events. You know, it's about what they can do. But I like that take. I mean, you start where I would say the head. You know, you start where it really should drill down and flow. So talk about that in terms of finding the development person. How does that work?
Well, there's huge turnover in development. As you probably know, it's a very difficult job. And what I help nonprofits realize, it is not a one-person job.
Okay.
The CEO has to be involved, the development office, and the board. It is a primary responsibility of boards to help organizations raise money. So once they realize that and they know it's a team effort, the process becomes much easier.
Very good. And let me share with you, when you get Our Fundraising Search, you get a wealth of experience. Dr. McNay has an illustrious background in fundraising and higher ed and many other of the sectors. And I would just like, you know, if you just share with them just a few of the places that you've helped make a difference.
Sure. I first started in development at my college, Transylvania University in Lexington, Kentucky. When we moved to Atlanta, I worked at Georgia Tech and their $100 million capital campaign. Similar work at Emory. I worked at the Georgia Foundation for Independent Colleges. In fact, I thought I would always be in higher ed.
Okay.
But once I had a family, I was able to manage my work as well as my home life. And I worked in my children's independent school at Pace Academy,
Yes.
and then the High Museum of Art.
Yeah.
So overall, I've been consulting for 10 years. So I've worked in all the sectors, and I've done all the fundraising tasks.
Great, great. And let me tell you, I wanted her to bring that out because I want you to clearly understand that when you reach out to her, engage her in her services, you are getting some top-end knowledge and skill sets that will come to your organization. So again, we encourage you to reach out to Dr. Linda McNay at Our Fundraising Search. And in fact, I'm going to stop right here and just, would you tell them how they could get in contact with you?
Sure. OurFundraisingSearch.com is the website, and it has all our positions posted. It also lists clients and some of the other activities that we do, including Walk with the Consultant.
Yes, 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 and we're going to get into that. I tell you, if you go to the website, you will find there's a wealth of information. It clearly leads you along the path that you need to go to find the solution to what you're seeking. So let's start off. Tell us a little more about your experience with nonprofits.
Sure. Well, every person I know has a favorite nonprofit, and every nonprofit needs to raise money. So I don't have any trouble finding prospects to work with, and I have a difficult time telling organizations no. There always seems to be some way that I can help them, either through my own work or recommending them to other people.
Okay. Well, I tell you, so again, you heard it from Dr. McNay that you reach out to you, and either she's going to help you and solve your pain point, or she's going to refer you and provide an opportunity for someone else to solve that problem. So how did you become involved with fundraising?
Initially,
Yeah.
it was quite by accident.
Okay.
I started my career in HR. I don't think I told you that.
Oh, wow.
I have a business degree and an MBA, and I specialized in HR. So I worked in the hotel business, hiring and firing people in Lexington, Kentucky, and then in Chicago. So when I moved back home, mostly to get married to my husband, in Lexington, I went to work at my college in admissions. And it was great. That's sales. It's very similar to business, and I loved it. But after about a year and a half, as a newlywed, it's really difficult because you have to travel all the time.
Okay.
So I switched to alumni and development because there was an opening. You only had to travel half as much.
Wow.
So there was nothing purposeful on my part. In fact, I was one of the first woman on our campus to be in development, and one of the first women that I know about. It used to be pretty much a man's profession.
Wow. Very
so
good.
A lot has changed since then.
Yeah, very good. So we have a pioneer that you will connect with as well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I also want to say congratulations on your 10-year mark.
Thank you, thank you. I worked at another consulting firm, Alexander Haas, for my first 7 years, and I've had my own business now for 3.
Wow. Well, I tell you, it's no small feat to accomplish going past 3 years to be in business, let alone 10. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
And in fact, would you share with us, how we understand how you got into fundraising, but how did you get into starting your own business?
Well, that started about 5 years ago when I was at Alexander Haas. We started conducting searches for nonprofits, but just for our clients, because they were having trouble finding and keeping good development officers. So the goal was for me to conduct 5 searches over the course of a year. And what happened is I did 10 searches in 10 months. So not only was it effective, it was a lot of fun for me. So I really wanted to spin that off as a separate business, and our firm didn't really want to be in the search business. So we parted amicably, and I took that piece and started on my own. And I didn't really know what was going to happen, didn't have a business plan that first year, but it went very well. And at the end of the first year, I realized I wasn't just in the search business. Only a third of my business is the search.
Okay.
It turns into other types of fundraising, whatever the nonprofit needs. I believe in clients for life. So I might start doing a search and then help the organization with their annual fundraising plan, and it might turn into a capital campaign. So it's not unusual for me to stay involved with my clients over time.
I like that. And, we're big on relationships at BizLinks Consulting Group and BizLinks TV Network. So, we take pride and value that aspect of what we do. So I'm glad to hear that we have an expert here in the area of fundraising and search. But again, if you missed that, she's about developing a long-term relationship with you and your organization so that you can bring about achievements in other areas. So that's really great to know. And, you talk about starting in search.
Yes.
What does the search, in other words, how does your search process work?
sort of streamlined the process. If you work with an executive search firm, usually the cost for that is a third of the first year's salary for whoever is hired.
Okay.
And that's usually cost prohibitive for nonprofits. So I charge much less than that in order to make it affordable to nonprofits. And I looked for development officers who might do major gifts, planned giving, annual fund, sometimes admin support. I've conducted 2 searches for executive directors for organizations that couldn't afford a high-end search.
Right.
So I work with the organization to make sure we're all on the same page, and I usually get called after the organization has tried to find somebody and they couldn't, or they've had a bad hire and they realize they can't do it again. So I make sure that they understand this is a group effort. It's not just a one-time, one-person activity. So once they all know that, we have a much better success rate. So I post the ads, I do all the pre-screening and interviews, and I give the client the top 3 or 4 candidates that I would hire.
Okay.
And then they choose from that group.
Now, I'm curious, and I hear the aspect of team effort towards finding and locating. I guess my real question is, I see a more established nonprofit organization being able to, do that, but is it best, or do you prefer, or is it possible on the front end, at the beginning stages of the development of a nonprofit organization? In other words, would a nonprofit organization that is just starting out, should they reach out to you at the beginning of their planning piece and integrate you in that process?
I think that would be great.
Okay.
If you get off on the right foot, the organization will be better off. Absolutely. And somebody needs to be designated to raise money.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the CEO, sometimes it's a volunteer, but ideally there be at least a part-time person that's dedicated to fundraising until they're able to have a full-time person.
That's, a lot of thoughts run through my mind, and, we definitely have some conversations to have in that regard. But I want to bring out this nugget. Again, we're always mining for those gold nuggets, and this is one among many that have already been shared with you. But again, even if you're a startup and you're at the planning stages, reach out to Linda. I believe our fundraising search, if you just let them know that you're at the point of strategic planning, business development planning, and maybe include her in that component, because you're going to need it. So like you say, if you start off on the front end, it'd be much easier. And you don't know what kind of deal you might get when you don't have any money and she helps you grow, That's from Nash now. She hadn't said that, so I don't want to put that out there. But I think, it would be best, and I think that's something different. At least a lot of the nonprofit organizations that we've had discussions with, whether informally and out in various locations, or even here on the show, I don't think they take that in consideration about bringing that team member on in the initial stages of development.
Right.
So, yes, go ahead.
Well, in order to be successful in fundraising anywhere, in any type of organization, you have to have 3 things. You have to have a compelling case for support. How much money do you need? How are you going to spend it? You have to have leadership. Who's going to do that fundraising? Could be the board, could be the CEO, if you don't have a development officer. And then you need a plan, a written plan to follow. So sometimes I help organizations craft that plan and then they implement it.
Yeah. And see, this is what this show is about. So be sure to share this episode if it's your first time visiting with us. Be sure to share this. That alone, what she just shared, is worth your time of looking at this show and spreading it to other nonprofit organizations, because that right there is about an operational component that will lead to sustainability, which is one of the goals that we seek here on Let's Talk Nonprofits. So thank you, Linda. And before we go to break, I really want to ask one more question. That I think is a fun question. But what do you like best about your work?
I like the variety.
Okay.
Some days I get to write proposals or grants. Some days I talk on the phone all day long.
Okay.
But lots of days I go to my neighborhood coffee shop and I interview people. I can interview people all day long. People who might be interested in getting into development, recent college graduates, or people who just want a career change. So I never had a conversation that I didn't enjoy, and it didn't turn out to be productive for both of us at some point.
Very good. And if you haven't picked up, Linda is very easy to talk to, very comfortable, with you. We met, Pam and I met her a few weeks ago, and I tell you right off the bat, it was it was just a comfortableness. So we encourage you to reach out to Dr. Linda McNay and Our Fundraising Search, and get to know that, you know, again, she gives you a good, relaxed, non-pushy feel, but will just provide you an opportunity to understand how she might assist you in your organization in reaching your goals. So before we go to break, you know, Linda, would you please share with them again how they can reach out to you?
My website is www.ourfundraisingsearch.com.
All right. Please, looking forward to you reaching out to her. And we thank all of our sponsors and our supporters for making this possible, this episode, as well as this show possible here at BizLinks TV Network. And we thank our sponsors. Particularly, we'd like to thank our show sponsor, SIP for Your Cause, sipforyourcause.org. They are about, again, achieving those same objectives, helping organizations to increase their awareness, their funding, sustainability, and ultimately their impact. So visit them at www.sipforyourcause.org.
What happens when soldiers come home? McNay Foundation offers hero support to ensure that our heroes abroad can continue to be heroes at home. We link veterans with organizations who are dedicated to guiding the transition from military hero to civilian hero. If you want to find out how you can support our troops at home, please contact the McNay Foundation or visit McNay.com.
Does your son need a more challenging, focused, and encouraging educational environment? Renaissance Christian Academy is an affordable private school for boys located in McDonough, Georgia, with certified teachers that are uniquely equipped to help your son master learning. You're welcome to schedule a tour of our facilities by calling 770-305-9881 or by visiting our website at rcaboysacademy.org. Renaissance Christian Academy, developing young men to be great leaders through Christ-centered learning.
Welcome back. And we again thank our sponsors and advertisers for making this platform possible. And again, if you're a nonprofit organization and you're seeking to increase your awareness, reach out to us at Let's Talk at bizlinks.tv. Also, if you're an expert in the nonprofit sector or business as in a general that nonprofits can benefit from, again, if you would like to be considered to be a guest on the show, email us at letstalk@bizlinks.tv, and we look forward to engaging you. Again, thank you, and support our supporters, sponsors of the show, our advertisers, so we can continue to bring great information to you. Now, again, we are here with Dr. Linda McNay, and I tell you, we're having a great time sharing some wonderful information that is critical for the success of sustaining your organization through your fundraising efforts. And so, again, Dr. McNay, we thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's continue. Now, you've talked about a lot of things,
Yes.
and been great and wonderful, but there's something I think maybe unique to your business in terms of what is Walk with the Consultant?
Well, that was self-preservation, if you want to know the truth. What happens is once people hear about what I do, they want free advice, and they want to spend some time with me, and I'm always happy to do that. The problem is I was having trouble getting all my work done. So I decided to try this, walking in Piedmont Park once a month. It's on my website if you want to check the dates and times. But it's either Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon, once a month. We get together, we spend some time together and talk about what anybody wants to talk about in terms of fundraising. So they can ask me questions about their own nonprofit. We can talk about careers, positions that I know that are available, and how we might partner together. So we've had great response, lots of fun, and we all get exercise and fresh air and network with each other.
And so what I'm hearing you say is walk with the consultant, which I love. I do remember now that you shared seeing that on the website, and great concept, great way of we overall business consulting group is about increasing productivity for organizations, and that is I like that productivity strategy.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing you say, Linda, that organizational leaders can come out there and pick your brain.
That's right. Free.
Free. That's what
You
I'm
just have
getting.
to walk with me.
Yeah. Let me tell you. Okay, for those of you who are not getting this, go to
www.ourfundraisingsearch.com. Right.
You know, go to that website. Look under Walk with the Consultant. Find out when she's going to have her next walk. Guys, get there. You know, there's so many of you out there that are always talking about, we don't have money to pay for somebody, whatever. Well, how long is that walk?
An hour or so.
Yeah.
And we'll go around Piedmont Park, sometimes the Botanical Garden, the Beltline, however long people want to walk.
So please, if you don't do anything else that I've told you to do in the past, do this. Go to her website, find out that date, do whatever it is. I forget if you have to register or whatever, or just show up. Whatever it is you have to do, get in contact with her, show up out there, and pick her brain for free. And then I'm going to go next step. After you do that, engage with her further. You know, I'm big on people, you know, don't just go there and get something free and show up there every walk. You know, get her, incorporate her into your strategy of development and make it happen. And we want to hear the results, and shoot back to us and let us know about your experience on the walk so we can put it out through our social media network and on our website so that we can talk about the great work that Dr. McNay is doing with you. Yes, ma'am.
You need to know that we go rain or shine. So
really?
if you email me and let me know you're coming, I'll wait for you.
Okay.
So we've had people come out in the rain, and we had 2 people who came when it was 20 degrees. So we walked down the street to the coffee shop and sat in front of the fireplace, but we did walk.
Wow, so rain or shine, she's better than the mailman. Did we hear snow? I heard the cold weather, but did we hear snow?
We haven't had snow yet.
Okay. Guys, again, I think that's great. I really do, and please take advantage of it, guys. Now, not only is she a great consultant, I mean, you hear that just from the knowledge that she's sharing, the little bit of knowledge she's sharing with us here and now, but she's also an author. She's the author of Fundraising for Schools, 8 Things Every Head of School Should Know About Fundraising. How did you come to write that book?
Well, I do a lot of work with independent schools. My children went to Pace Academy, and I worked with other schools during that process and as a consultant. So I meet with a lot of headmasters. Sometimes they don't have a development officer, and some of them have no training if they came the academic route.
Yeah.
So I kept repeating myself, so I wrote it down for them. So I had written it, and got a friend of mine to edit it, and it was in really good shape. And when I accidentally got a publisher, we have a book.
Wow. So listen, if you're in the education realm, and particularly private schools, and you're looking for, or independent schools, and you're looking for the means to take advantage of the skill sets and knowledge of a development officer, you know, reach out to her. And can they buy the book?
The book is available from the publisher, Charity Channel Press. It's also on Amazon.com. Okay. And there's you can click on it on my website as well.
Okay, so again, guys, there's another resource available to you, and again, that's what we're about here. We're about sharing with you great resources that can help, again, your organization not only survive but thrive. And Linda McNay is a great resource. I tell you, one of the great guests that we've had here on Let's Talk Nonprofits, and again, we thank you for coming. So you do your walks, and you meet at the coffee shops, and you work with your clients remotely and face-to-face. So do you have a favorite client?
I think my favorite client is whoever I'm working with at that moment. I love all of my clients and love staying in touch with them, and we have a lot of fun together. Yes,
and in fact, over the 10-year period, you actually have over 100 clients.
And I've worked in all the sectors, so that's fun to learn new things too. Yes.
So guys, again, you know what we're about at this show. First of all, we only bring you quality resources, so that, number one, you know they already vetted. Number two, we highly recommend that you reach out to Our Fundraising Search and Linda and her team, and just see how they and your relationship with them will move your organization to the next level. So have you had any surprises in your work?
Yes. Well, we all tend to follow the fundraising best practices, which there are 8 of them. Okay. Sometimes you have to take a risk and do something out of the ordinary. So traditionally, the best way to raise money is in person. It's hard to tell somebody no if they're looking you in the eye. But sometimes you can't make that happen. So I had a client that wanted to ask a prospect for $100,000 for their campaign, and they tried and tried to get a meeting, and it just wasn't happening. And it wasn't that the person didn't want to meet, they just were, it was a busy executive. So the board chair, in my presence, sent an email to our top prospect to ask for $100,000. So it was one of those circumstances where it was the right person asking the right prospect for the right project, for the right amount, at just the right time.
Yeah.
So he sent the email, and 3.5 minutes later, we had $100,000.
Wow.
So that was a fun surprise, and I don't want people to think that I recommend doing that all the time, but it's okay to take a risk occasionally and break out of your normal pattern.
Yeah, and it sounds like they were following, excuse me, the normal pattern, and because that wasn't working, they did step out and try something different.
Right.
Very good, excellent. I appreciate it. And I want to point out, and she hasn't said, but it's something you need to know. Linda has been responsible for raising millions of dollars, guys, hundreds of millions of dollars. And in fact, she stopped counting. What's the last number you counted?
$220 million.
$220 million she has personally been involved with raising.
I've been responsible for that, but I don't want anybody to think I did that by myself, because it is always a team effort.
And let me tell you, that's what great leaders always say. And so we appreciate that, we value that, but we know without the effective leadership of that team that it wouldn't happen. So again, her leadership has resulted in the raising of that amount of money. And again, that's just what she has left off in counting. There's been millions more. So again, I mention that so that you can become part of that count and allow her and her team to help you move towards your fundraising goals. What is the one thing you would tell nonprofit leaders about fundraising?
I tell my clients that they should hire the most qualified development officer that they can find, and then be nice to them.
Wow.
Because that's the part they forget.
Wow.
Good development officers are hard to find, and the longer an individual stays with an organization, the better job they're going to do.
Wow. Nugget number 2 that we brought out. Now, you've gotten a lot of nuggets today, but nugget number 2, you find that development officer, a good one, and then be nice to them.
That's right.
And like Linda says, that they'll stay around and they'll do nothing but get better and better. Now, you know, the truth of the matter is that I've never really been in the nonprofit sector. I know that might not be very apparent, but my wife and I, somehow we were just drawn into it. And we were drawn into it because of being invited by various leaders and supporting various nonprofit organizations. We would go to their gala, their events, and, you know, just got involved. And when we were there, we would find, and talk with the guests, we would find that a lot of people didn't even know what the organization was really about. And really, this is what led into the show, okay? So we can bring awareness to those things. But one thing that, you know, not being a part of the sector, I've seen, and I would like your input on, is, you know, how often should a fundraising, or how often should organizations participate or conduct fundraising events?
Well, most organizations conduct fundraising all year long.
Okay.
If they do it well, they should only ask you once a year. So if they ask you and you respond, then they should go on to the next prospect. If you don't respond, then they'll have to try again.
Okay.
And it usually takes what I call the shotgun approach. Some people respond to mail. We still have direct mail. Some people respond on the phone. My mother wouldn't, but some people do.
Right.
Some people need to be solicited in person for those large gifts. There's event fundraising and grant writing, and it takes a little bit of all of those over the course of a year for organizations to hit their targets usually.
I like that, and you know, I like that response, because, you know, a lot of times when we're participating with nonprofits in terms of fundraising, usually it's a big gala once a year, and that's all you hear about. And maybe that's why, maybe that's the explanation, because maybe we respond and therefore they don't contact us anymore in that regard.
most organizations have at least a signature event.
Okay.
Where organizations get in trouble is if they only have events. Because they're a little bit risky. They're the least cost-effective way of raising money. Because if you're hosting a golf tournament and it rains, you might not raise any money. There's just things out of your control. And you have to make sure you don't spend more than you bring in. It's better to ask people in person.
Wow, okay. Nugget number 3. And I say that because those of you who follow us, you know that's one of my biggest pet peeves with nonprofit organizations, putting all of their eggs in one basket, trying to make that big hit with the golf tournament, as you've indicated, or that big gala. And, you know, just from a business perspective, which we espouse here continually, that we always let the nonprofits know you are a business, and they need to operate that way. That's why it's important that they get in touch with experts such as yourself, so that you guys can help with that business component of their operation. So thank you for that. I want to ask this. Is there a specific time of year? Is there a better time of year to fundraise?
The best times to raise money are that period between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and on or around April 15th. I guess people are more generous at those times. They've turned in their taxes and they know how much money they have to share, and they might need a deduction.
Yeah, so listen, guys, Thanksgiving to Christmas and right after April the 15th. So when you're doing your strategy planning, look at that in terms of your calendar schedules and incorporate that in that. Nugget number 4. And so what I would like to ask again is that that particular, what you just shared, that's across all categories, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
the rules are the same no matter what type of organization you work with.
Okay. Very good. Well, we're about to wrap up here, guys. We've had a great time, and in fact, Dr. Linda McNay, I want to say thank you for being a great guest. You have definitely shared some great information, and we're looking forward to you guys reaching out to Dr. Linda McNay and Our Fundraising Search and learn how you can get involved. Don't forget walking with the consultant. So if nothing else, start there. If nothing else, at a minimum. But we want you to reach out to her, get involved with her. You're going to find that she has a very inviting personality, warm spirit, and I tell you, you already see she's knowledgeable. So as we close up, well, before we go, anything that you would like to share, any just parting words?
I think fundraising is just common sense. And if you have your compelling case, you identify the leadership who's going to help you raise the money, and you have a plan, there's no reason you shouldn't be successful.
Very good. So you've heard it from Dr. Linda McNay of Our Fundraising Search. Get in touch with her by going to www.ourfundraisingsearch.com.
Correct.
All right.
Thanks.
Get in touch with her. And again, if you go to our website and look at this episode, comment anything that you want to get to her that you aren't able to get through her website or otherwise, we'll be sure to get it to us. Give us your thumbs up, share it. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Let's Talk Nonprofits.